I'd like to show you why knowing your why is the start of your journey. Without a strong why, it can be so difficult to reach your maximum potential. My name is Dr. Jason Balara, and every week I meet with real estate investors and mindset specialists that are taking action in order to build a life according to their own terms. We will break down what drives successful people and allows them to achieve at such a high level. If you are a professional wanting to break through, or simply someone that wants to hear an inspiring story, the Know Your Why podcast is made for you. Hi everyone, I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today I'm here with Martynas Fedotovas. I hope I said that right, Martynas. I'm sorry if I butchered it. Thank you for coming on. I know Martynas, he had me on his podcast, Beating Alpha, a while back, and I'm always grateful for that. That was my first opportunity on a podcast. So thank you, and thank you for coming on today, Martynas. How are you?
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Jason. I mean, once, as I told you off the record, once you let me know that you have a podcast, I was like, look, that's it. You got it. So, I'm really flattered again to be on your show today, and hopefully we, can have a great discussion and bring some value to the audience as well. So appreciate it.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, why don't you go ahead and sort of tell the audience about yourself, tell us your story and where you come from and where you're headed, and then we'll dive into kind of breaking down whatever parts seem most exciting to you.
Sure. Look, I can give you a long story. I can give you a short story. And I know that we have an hour, so maybe I will give you kind of in the middle. But I'm coming from very humble, nothing, from having nothing. And I still think I have nothing, so like regardless of where you are, once you tap into that, people, let's call it the potential, then you realize what you're capable of. And there's always something greater and bigger that we can do. Myself, just coming back, to the question that you said, having a social media company, it's a very interesting story with that. And I can tell you that right quick. There was a guy who was a mentor for me at the time, and I was doing, financial consulting part for the people who is a tough audience, for the people who don't have money. So I was trying for them to explain why you should change your mindset and why you should make money one of the priorities in life. So he said, look, this is a really tough audience for you. It's a tough sale. Those people don't want to change majority of the time. And he said, look, but you have a lot of valuable skills because I used to produce my own content for my own social media that was before the Beating Alpha. And he said, look, I think you should do this, because he said specifically for the real estate industry, because he, at that time, and that was almost 4 years ago, he said there wasn't a lot of, agencies who provided anything like we offer, full service, turnkey, turnkey option that will cover like the majority of the social medias that are out there. So, and I thought for a second, I was like, that sounds like a really great idea. So basically, I stripped all the websites and I changed it completely, probably just sitting in a cafe. I remember I was sipping coffee. So I changed the entire website just like under an hour. It was that fast. Because remember the guy, he's really great. I'll give you a name, Greg Dickerson. He's awesome. He's an awesome human being coming from a military background. And he used to teach me, and install these principles. Like just say done, and just do it right now without thinking. Because he say, I never had a calendar. He said, I just do things. I know what I need to do, of course, and probably he has a list, but you just do it. And I think that's really powerful. So basically, that's where the company came from. Started from home, got all these clients, worked like crazy, 7 days a week, probably waking up 7 in the morning, going to bed like 1 a.m., just working. And I probably did like that for 3-4 months, like nonstop. But that got like my routine, and whatever you do, you will adapt to it. You will get used to it, if it's good or bad. So I got used to that, but was like, look, it doesn't make any sense, like you're making the money, but you pay the price of not having any time, which, the time is the biggest commodity that is out there. If we think bigger that way, and that's why people buy private jets and things like that. But, I was like, okay, so I need to go and outsource. So basically without, outsourcing, I said, okay, Doesn't make a lot of sense. Get an office, got people, and that's how the business started with the social media, and we're still doing that. Still working with the multifamily investors, property developers, PMs, so property managers, and majority of the people who are in the real estate industry. So that's that kind of on a social media part. And now, as I mentioned before we started, SpaceX Balara, another project that I'm putting together, and now we're going to be looking to collaborate with different people in the space industry, because that's the next thing. And already seeing actually a lot of people on LinkedIn, they're leaning towards if it's through marketing or through services or investments to space industry, which COVID made this entire space industry blow up. Because people went to the first option, I think, that was interesting for them. And of course, space is being kind of the final frontier in that case. A lot of people started astrophotography or just, Facebook groups or whatever. But, me being like, maybe a little bit bigger thinking, I'm like, I definitely can do more than just create a Facebook group and, have a podcast. And that's, again, where, I found myself right now as we're talking in Georgia, going to be making some projects with the local astronomy clubs, Mars Society. It's a big thing globally. There's this community who puts different projects, and Elon Musk comes to those projects and talk about what he's planning to do. And I think this is going to be a very interesting journey, and I see how we can use marketing in the space industry as well. So it's super fun. It's super fun, and definitely, I do encourage like a lot of people, when I talk with people, just go and try stuff. If you're brand new to this podcast, and again, it's all about the mindset and finding your why. You just have to go and try a bunch of things. Because if I didn't go and find my mentor, which is a completely different story. How I found Greg, it was through bigger pockets, just randomly. I mean, if you want to do a lot of random stuff that's kind of scattered all over the place in the beginning, where you're lost, where you don't know what you want to do in life, I would probably never ended up in this position where you do this and that, and you do all these exciting, fascinating projects. So, it's just as simple as Nike says, you just have to do it, so that's what it is.
Yeah. Nike has a good tagline there. It's very pertinent to being successful, I think. So, I mean, that's a lot of, I think there's a lot of topics there that we can jump on. Let's just first talk about, sort of your digital media and social media and kind of, it's obviously, it's very clear to me that, especially in real estate and virtually almost any industry at this point, that without some social media presence, without some digital marketing, you essentially don't exist. It's very hard to sort of be out there. So maybe speak to sort of your strategy for people, what you recommend. Maybe we can provide listeners I know that you can provide the service as well, and you can talk about sort of what you do for people, but also just kind of maybe a few tips on what you think people should do to help build their online presence.
So I'll give you my kind of background, my story, and the things that work for me the best. And this is exactly what you do. So once you DM me on Instagram saying I have a podcast, my light bulb just went off. It's like, oh, he's doing the right thing, So you're gonna go a long way by just doing that strategy, because there are multiple strategies and there's multiple social media, platforms that can give you exposure, leverage. They can help you to connect with people, because social media, it has this name, it's good, social media. So that's the place for you to make the connections and communicate with people, potential clients. And with my story, when I started, and of course this, mentor helped me to make a few connections, because he was, already established in a real estate community. So that helped. But then I went off and I started these podcasts, Beating Alpha, now 174, I think, episodes. And through that podcast, you discover, you build, let's say in this case, 1 hour, or if it's a 2-hour podcast episode, if you can, and you actually can, build a solid relationship from that, or just at least build a solid foundation, just being who you are, being authentic and asking, questions. Of course, there's going to be people who will try to manipulate and things like that. But, if you just know that your service is great or whatever, let's say in your case, or somebody else's case, if you're a multifamily investor, you're going to be raising capital, right? And that's the biggest mistake that I see people do in a multifamily space. They have other guests on the show who are other multifamily investors. For me, in my head, that doesn't make a lot of sense, because every time, like if I'm a social media, guy, if I'm an expert and like we're providing service for those people, help to solve their problems, which again is raise more capital or increase the deal flow. I want to be in front of those people and I want to pick their brain because look, I love personal, I love real estate. It does make a lot of sense for me as well. I'm not currently an investor. Definitely we're going to be investing passively, when the time comes. But, those people have to be in front of those people as well. And I see a lot of people having, and that's why I love the name of your podcast, because it doesn't have name real estate or multifamily in it or syndication, because then you get stuck in that place where you have to have other real estate investors or syndicators. And it's like, look, this is not the people that you want to talk with. You want to talk with potential investors or the people who might have deals. Because because you are talking with these people and you can pick their brain, they already are thankful for you being on their podcast. They know they're going to get, leverage. They're going to, reach your audience or their audience, even a cross audience. So look, they're already getting value from that. And at the end of the day, again, if you have the service that it's going to bring value for them, why not at the end of the conversation, maybe off record, ask, hey, listen, I do this, or, I'm a real estate investor, and we're actually having all these deals currently, and we have a screaming deal, and I know you're, a successful business owner. Have you ever thought about investing in real estate? And, if you want to, again, no pressure, I can send you some numbers to take a look at and let me know, again, if it makes sense for you. Something in those lines, because again, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not the best salesperson, as you see here. But, that's what it takes. It has to be as simple as that. Why waste a good connection? Why waste all these 2 hours of special for the people who are doing everything themselves? Like if you do the podcast by yourself, scheduling it, finding guests, scheduling, recording, cutting episodes, thumbnails, uploading it, putting out there. I mean, it's a lot of work. Yeah. So if you're going to waste that just to say thank you for coming on the show, I mean, that's the waste of everybody's time. So that's what I recommend for everybody who's starting, because if you are watching or listening to this episode, I'm just guessing, but I'm pretty sure you're a business owner. You either have a product or service or something, or you're planning to have it. So you can use this platform, which is a podcast, to reach those people, because if you're a business owner, you need people. You need customers, you need clients, you need connections, and that's how you build it through the podcast. So I definitely recommend to leverage this platform for sure.
Yeah, I think it's very true. I mean, the recording the podcast is very much especially now with COVID and people being locked down and things like that. Mm-hmm. Doing the podcast is actually a really great networking opportunity, and being able to just kind of talk about really the topic of each episode isn't even necessarily the most important part of it. It's more like, hey, here's this amazing person. Let's get them out there and see mm-hmm. what they're passionate about, because I think that seeing what people are passionate about is what is going to draw people to them and create that team that like you speak of, and social media is kind of the way to do that right now. Like it's starting to open up in places you can have in-person meetings and things, but realistically, COVID kind of certainly changed the world in a lot of ways. And it's now we have to sort of leverage this technology even more so to say, hey, here I am, or, going out and being a guest on podcasts or recording your own podcast. And then, mm-hmm. Adding in, so with that's, sort of the podcast side of things, what do you think about in terms of other forms of social media? And I've heard, you hear all kinds of things, right? It's like, you should pick one, be super focused on it, or get as much content out there as you can, put it everywhere, just what do you think? What's your kind of philosophy on that?
My philosophy is what you're saying is focus. Focus stands for follow one course until successful, right? Or something like that. So and that's what every successful person, would recommend. I didn't see or I didn't come across a lot of successful people who are scattered all over the place, diversified. Because if you're going to see the majority of the average person's investment portfolio, it's going to be diversified. And that's what majority of the people are poor. Because, the biggest people, look at the people just like Warren Buffett in this case. And of course, he's in a different position to make different decisions and things like that. He's, of course, diversified, but he goes full in onto companies like Coca-Cola, like Gillette, or things like that. And you're going to find majority of the successful people, they stuck on one thing. When you think about, certain people, let's say Jeff Bezos, you don't think about, million different companies. You think about Amazon. When you think about Elon Musk, maybe he is a different person, genius like a person, so maybe he can have 5 companies, okay? Right. But the rest of the people, I think that's the key, just focusing on one thing, because with the social media, it could be, look, personal, I did a lot of my social media myself, like in the beginning. It was super hard, because I did everything. That's what we're talking about. I did everything, and I was like, I need to do everything, which you don't. Because you have to measure what gives you the best results. And again, in some cases, for some people, maybe you're not, actually confident or whatever, you want to talk with people. Bad news, you will have to eventually. So why not go through the Exactly. So go through the pain right now, suffer right now, and pay the price, and you're going to be good. Because at the end of the day, if you want to speak to the audiences, you have to be in front of the camera anyway. But I do recommend this, just coming back, because everything is super simple, but people tend to make things complicated. And for me, I measure things very simple. Again, I understand I meet people, right? Regardless to what I do, if it's a space-related project, if it's a social media, if it's, I'm making friends, I'm building my network, I need to be in front of the people. Having conversations on LinkedIn, could be that, of course, that I see the amount of value, and again, through working through the clients, it generates, deals, increases the network. It's good, it works. Facebook, same, paid and paid ads. Instagram, TikTok works for sure. We had a story with our own kind of space-related account when it blew up to 184,000 followers, I think in 1.5 weeks. So tell me what other platform can give you that exposure and build, that fast. But, what you're going to do with all those followers, look, you can have 1 billion followers, but what if nobody actually, everybody just scrolls through it, they like it, and they just keep moving on, they just move on. Right. Nobody sticks to you. So that's the problem, because, you need to build the connections. The follower accounts, you can have 300 followers, but you can be the richest person on the planet. So because look, at the end of the day, how many deals are you doing, with people? So, and the quickest way for me, at least, and the way, I make decisions is by talking to people directly, not with the DMs, because that's, you know how many DMs you get yourself, like in a day, you probably don't even check them. You're like, delete all.
Yeah. Most of them trying to sell me a service to increase the number of followers I have.
So
that's what it is.
Exactly. This is happening. So people are really aware about that. LinkedIn is the same. Even though it's a professional space, you find all these people like, sending you offers. Oh, we have a virtual assistant and there, or, this is the way we do the bookkeeping, whatever. So, you're going to get bombarded with these messages. But, it's good. The long term, you should use all the platforms because people consume information in different ways. Somebody's is visual, auditory, so you need to have blog posts and they need to be on YouTube, or you need to have a podcast because somebody likes to, that's the way they consume content. But if you're starting out and if you're going to be doing this thing by yourself for quite some time, for half a year, for a year, until maybe you can, outsource or leverage other people to create the content, just focus on one thing. But look, people, they're going to make their own decisions regardless of what I'm going to say. And some people might say, oh, Instagram is for me. I like posting photos. Good. But the way I look at things is the way I look at it. So, we're coming back to the podcast. I think that's the way to go. Just stick to the one thing.
Yeah. Well, and you're obviously having success with it. So it's, you find what works for you, and maybe that's different for different people. But I think,
Yeah.
once you figure out what works for you, then sort of doubling down and saying, okay, this is my thing. It's giving me success. It's causing me to have, to grow my network and all of that, which I think that's one thing that I've noticed with the podcast is it's like, I talk to someone and they say, oh, hey, you just get talking about something you're interested in. Oh, hey, you need to talk to this person, and this person is like immediately each discussion leads to 2 or 3 more discussions. So it's pretty phenomenal. And for me, honestly, I just really think it's cool what people are doing, just to hear their, growth and success and what's happened over their last 6 months or year. And everybody has a bit of a different story. I just talked to this great guy who is, he's very young. He's a Army Ranger, and he's already, I think he's 25 years old, already, investing in real estate and things like that. I'm like, that's super exciting to me, because one thing that I know has really struck me is the power of time, right? So it's like, if you can get started in whatever it is in terms of investing, however you want to invest, the power of time that you have on your side when you're very young is like a phenomenal compounder, basically, to whatever you want. It really can achieve.
And then you see the stories just like with the Colonel Sanders with the KFC. So look, I think the age doesn't actually matter, because when you put, again, and there's, of course, we're talking about compound interest on yourself. When you invest in yourself enough, because that was a time for me, I think by the time that this gentleman that you've been talking about, 25-year-old, I think that was about the time when I actually started to pour into myself a lot, like audiobooks, reading books, like every single day, like meeting with people. I did network marketing for almost 2 years. Where I met, just like this, face to face, talking with strangers that I never met before. So I met those people. Like, I still have somewhere probably the numbers, and it's probably a stack of 500 or 600 numbers, and like I probably met a good half of those people. So you build a certain skills and traits that are valuable later when you're going to be doing business. So, and that's what people need, because like I talk with some people, they're chasing another shiny thing, which is a Bitcoin or a thing like that. There's a completely different discussion. Dogecoin is going to go to the moon. It's awesome. Look, it's awesome, and of course you should go and do that. But instead of maybe that, put the money in if you want to, wait it out and focus on yourself and build yourself and build, the company, the second company, because that's one thing that will never, nobody's is going to take that away from you. Bitcoin tanked, people, oh my God, Elon Musk, complain, he dumped the stock or whatever, So these things will happen. These people will do whatever they want because they're in a position to make those decisions, and they don't feel like obligated. They don't care. They gotta do whatever for their own benefit, right? So whatever happens, happens. But you cannot be a victim in that case, and that's why you need to live from inside out, not outside in, where the environment controls you and tells you what to do. Oh, go and invest. This is the next thing. The next thing. Just build your own self, because nobody will take that away from you. And I think the age doesn't matter, because anybody can make that decision right now, like today, and understand, like, again, coming back to the point of, tapping into your own personal potential, which is, for, like when you know what you're capable of, and again, everybody is capable of great things. It's just like in most of the cases, people didn't uncover it yet because they didn't get enough momentum, or didn't not put enough work into it to actually discover. Because, and I'm talking about the stuff that probably you never did in your entire life, and you knew you were never capable of achieving that before. Mm-hmm. When you do those things multiple times, and it's like, geez, like what else I can do, Right. So that's where you uncover that thing, and once you gain the momentum, it's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's actually a great point. I mean, it's really that momentum will once you start that kind of snowball rolling down the hill, then it's like you almost can't stop it. It's just once you start seeing things achieve, you'll get the confidence, you get, kind of just that drive that, hey, if I did that, now why can't I do this? And then that happens, it's like, okay, now why can't I do this? And it's just changing your mindset to believe that you can and get it started. And I agree, I often talk about the power of time because I see young people and think just do a little bit, right? Just get that momentum going. And yeah, you're 100% right. Colonel Sanders was like 60 something when he started KFC. And even Warren Buffett, I don't think he became a billionaire until he was in his 50s. So it's not that you can't do these things later, but it's why not use that time to your advantage if you have it? So I think you're 100% right. But ultimately, no matter what age you are, you gotta get started. You gotta decide to do something, and then go at it.
Exactly, because look, like at the end of the day, it's great to make money. It's great to live in nice places. It's great to travel. It's great to have nice things. But like, and that's what I love about the space industry. When I talk with the real estate investors, just like yourself, it's awesome. Like I love the way they think about investing. I think that's really important because we're talking about 90+% of the people that actually are stuck in a 9 to 5, can make the ends meet, or maybe some of those, let's talk about the credit investors. They have, some money. Where I'm going to put it? They're afraid of losing it. So, the money is a big driver. Like we live in this planet where the money is the thing. Like we need it to survive, to live comfortably. So we cannot run away from that, at least for now. So what you guys are doing is really important. The message that you're spreading, that there's other assets that could build you wealth in a long term, and without you putting a lot of effort, actually, So, yeah. But that's what I love about talking with the space, with individuals in the space industry, because they're always talking about doing something for other people. It's not about the money. It's not about that. It's about long-term play and doing something for other people first. And I think that's why, people put Elon Musk on a pedestal and say, oh, he's the genius. He's all that. He's going to take us to Mars, because he focuses on other people first. And I think, for anybody, regardless if you're a, real estate investor, whatever you do, whatever business you have, just having that bigger picture and focusing on other people first, and I'm not talking about the charity, which is easy to do. Again, it's not easy because you have to make the money first, maybe in some cases, right? So to write a check for $100K or for whatever amount of money and putting that to charity, or do that kind of direct debit option, maybe it's a little bit easier than creating a business that could benefit, that could solve the biggest world's problems. Yeah. So, like the way, if you go to the website, to the Google right now and type in world's biggest problems, you're probably going to find a list of 50 or maybe 100, maybe, bigger list of things that people actually need. They're struggling with those things. They need those things, shelter, food. I mean, those are big, big problems. Yeah. So, if we are put here for the reason, it's not about the money at the end of the day. Money is just a tool. So now the question, what you can do with that tool, and what other people it can influence, and what can you create, service, products that could benefit more people that you can actually physically reach, through the podcast. So yeah. I think that's the game long term for everybody, at least if you, again, coming back to the, tapping in your potential, because it's not going to be everybody. Because I thought in the beginning, once you're like, okay, I think I can do this. This is everybody can do this. And of course, everybody can, but not everybody will, for whatever reasons. And I think that's the shame, because, as one of the people told me before, he's like, do you know where the biggest dreams, rest? He said, that's the one place that you can find all the biggest dreams, wishes, everything. So what's the place? And he says, the graveyard. Yeah. So he said, because that's the place where all the big dreams go, because, some people just, I do understand nobody's comfortable. Like, I'm pretty sure the first episode that you got, I was like, I don't know how's it going to look like. I don't know what's the, I don't like the.
Not just the first episode. That's that's for sure. It's something that, if you want to if you have big dreams and you want to achieve big, you're going to have to step outside your comfort zone. You're going to have to do things that don't really fit, fit into what you think of you, right? It's like people have a picture of themselves that this is me, and then certain things won't fit in that picture that they have, and they're like, well, I don't do that, or I don't, that's not me. And if you have a bigger purpose, whatever it is, however you want to give back, however you want to change the world, then now those things that aren't you can become part of you, because they're the things you need to do to get to that purpose. You need to achieve what you're trying to do. And so I think it's, it comes to, it's not easy and it's not quick, right? So it's like, we all want quick and easy. That's we want,
especially this new generation, right? Everything has to be instant, everything is on your fingertips. And I do understand, but the lack of patience is a big thing, especially, and again, and I know, like, I do understand, I'm really aware about what's happening with the social media, that, sometimes I'm like, look, because some people would not like it. Like, I talk with a lot of, companies who have successful virtual assistant companies, or, they're agencies, or they do whatever, I'm like, okay, let's talk and let's see what you guys do. Again, I'll give you my, my point of view as well. And there's not a lot of people saying, with those agencies, because you don't want to burn yourself. But look, I'm in a position what I think, it's good to say that look, social media, I don't think it's really adding a lot of value for a lot of people, So I'm talking about the people who are maybe not doing a business, they're just using the social media. Right. Like, because the majority of the problems where we have psychological issues, like emotional, intelligence is probably the things that a lot of people lack these days. It's just like they're so, fragile. Like, for them, it's really tough to make, decisions. They just all over the place. They get influenced by that, outside, sources really easily. They can get manipulated easily. So, and I think part of that, problem is the social media. Like, like it's a really big problem. Like so I think, just taking time off sometimes, for the people from social media, like, even though, like, I have the company in social media, like, I take the time off from that. Like, I go on social media when I need it, not when, like, all my notifications is off. Like, if it's, you check the emails to see if something might be urgent and things like that. But, don't let anybody, or any circumstance like to control you. You are capable of building your own life on your own terms. I'm not saying to be an asshole, to ignore people and just like, whatever, I'm going to do me. And, like, I'm not going to take, the time to even check the messenger, or, you do that. But, it's just, I just want to bring more awareness that social media, again, for a lot of people, for the younger people, is not a good place when you start to compare you to other people. Oh, I should look the certain way, I should be the certain way, this is the way I should live life, and this is the right way because the social media, the influencers tell me to do so. It's not good. It's not good. So you need to be aware of that as well at the same time.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up on that and seeing, just how great people's lives look on social media, and, sort of comparing it to yourself. And the reality is probably half the time, at least, not true. They're, everybody's.
Sure. Look, the photos are definitely edited most of the time. The people look way too happy in the photos. They probably take that photo 3-4 times to post it.
Right.
Those people on social media who you think are happy, they're actually not that happy.
Yeah.
So probably those people are really probably they get depressed, and life just happens.
Yeah.
And they always look perfect. Like, look, I have the wrinkled shirt and I'm not perfect.
Right.
Because this is life.
Nobody's actually perfect, despite how they may look on their social media. It's actually a funny little example of this. Is so we had our son, he's 2.5 now, but especially in the beginning, because our families live essentially on the other side. We're in LA, everybody else is on the East Coast. And so we posted a lot of pictures of him just because our family wants to see our son. And I can't tell you how many times people were like, he's just so happy. He's always smiling, he's always happy. And I'm like, well, why would I take a picture when he's crying and put that up on, you know what I mean? And it's like, so then I started doing that. I'm like, okay, well, here, he does cry sometimes, like everybody does, but it's just, that's what, nobody takes that picture of like your worst day and puts it on social media. That's just not how it happens. And that's fine. Like, I don't know that, there's no requirement one way or the other, but you have to realize that's, when you're seeing people living this perfect life, it's not that every day, and that's okay. Like, it's just.
But look, that's a good message, because I've been telling that message before the COVID happened. Because again, I didn't project the COVID. I didn't knew it was happening either. But look, I knew the next recession is going to happen. The next crisis was about to happen, and it's a different story. Of course, that didn't happen, or maybe it did. And I'm like talking with people and saying like, look, what's going to happen in a recession? Like, a lot of people will stop going to the fancy restaurants, and basically people will stop spending all the money that they spend in the good times. Because times in the economy will probably the best times ever that we have, in these times not long ago. And I said, people will stop spending money. So what you need to do, because those people, instead of going to the fancy barbecue, place, and of course, there's always going to be those people, because, I'm talking about the people who always have the money, but the majority of the people, instead of going to the barbecue, place, they will be ordering takeaways. They will be sitting at home on a couch watching TV, but nobody actually watches TV. It's just a background noise. So now people are going to be on their phones scrolling on different social media platforms, as we're talking about. Again, in that case, just choose one thing at a time. But, you need to be in front of those social media platforms, because once people are going to scroll you, and the more they see you, the more you live in those people's heads than the news, that whatever's happening, out there in the planet, you will be able to gain the attention. And without attention, you increase the deal flow, the capital that you could potentially raise. Because, I said that, and coming back to your kid point, which you're talking about, just always, projecting, and people assume that he's always happy. I said, look, if you're going to continue to post on social media, when the times for you are quite bad, maybe you're suffering as the business because whatever's happening in the economy, if you continue to post or maybe even maximize the social media effort in these times, people will perceive you as these guys are doing good, or maybe even better than they were before the crisis happened. Right. And that's again, the social media.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, it seems to be, at least in my opinion, that really being authentic and also posting when things aren't great is actually, I think, a better, at least for me, that's the attention I want. I don't want to, put out there that every day is perfect and all of that. I think it's, my son is a very happy kid, but he cries sometimes and he gets upset about things. And it's like, that's just the reality of life. And it's okay for him to get upset about things. So it's just, it's an interesting, sort of, it's almost like social media is its own world. And
for sure
it can be a very toxic world, but also you can use it in your favor if you can realize that, what you're looking at, it may not be always, the full truth of someone's life. So it is you have to kind of approach it with some level of skepticism as to what you're actually seeing, I guess.
It is. Just to finish off before we move on, if you don't mind, because not long ago, I was actually talking with my wife, and I was showing, because like I talked with this guy actually not long ago, and I think he's a YouTuber, and he's like real estate investor / and I was like, I would love to get you on the show sometime. And it probably was half a year. And he said, oh, how many followers do you have on YouTube? And I said the number, and he was like, oh no, once you get bigger, I'll come over. And I was like, what's that about? Where's the cockiness coming from? And then I checked this, his YouTube, and at the time, I think he had like 40,000 subscribers. Now probably has more. And what he do, and you're going to find a lot of platforms that maybe you came across a few before, where people expose other people for whatever they do. People like, oh, I'm the rich guy driving the Lambo or flying private, and then those people go and search the information about them, and then they get exposed. So the amount of people, and I was showing to my wife, because some of those people were like I used to follow before, and it's like, oh my God, this is the person with a check mark, million subscribers, million followers, and you're like, oh my God, I have to follow the person, and then you find out like he's scamming people, he's like all over the place, he's like running places, with the different names and things. So it's pretty awful. So that's the nasty side of the social media. But the good side is that you can be in front of the people, again, provide, value, give advice, again, just the fact that your kid, when he will grow up, he will see this, he will see the episodes, he will see a personal journey. It's pretty awesome. It's not like, the photos that, that I have.
Right.
Right. So it's pretty awesome.
Someday when I'm gone, he can hear Dad talking about him. So that'll be a good thing to have in the bank for him, as he gets older. Well, let's I want to talk a little bit about your space industry foray, and kind of that's very out of my wheelhouse, but I'm interested in it, kind of what you're doing and what sort of what draws you to it, I guess.
Yeah, so as I said, it's still a sci-fi for a lot of people. It's like, oh, space industry is like, okay, you get the eye roll and things like that. But look, people now are getting more aware about what's happening, and again, probably thanks to Elon Musk, because he's being one of the frontiers who are actually putting space industry on a map. After 50 plus years, from the last Apollo mission. Now we're actually thinking about, and now again, SpaceX is collaborating with the Japanese billionaire, and there's going to be a crew launch around the moon. They won't be landing, but people every day, people can apply for that. Of course, myself and the wife applied for it, but it's been 1 million people, probably 2 million people applied for it, so it's going to be only 8 people, probably 6. Taking off this billionaire guy and the other person, other astronaut. But things are in a place where, like, I wasn't around when this space race, as people are talking about, when who's going to be first in the space, who's going to be first on the moon, USA versus Russia, and So, but I do imagine it probably felt like this, something like that's happening right now, because now you're going to see space all over the news, and now if you go outside and actually become aware about that. Because most of the time, like if you go outside right now and try to look for a red car, red car, try to count how many red cars do you see. So now tell me, how many blue cars have you seen?
Right.
It's hard. Like you get what you focus on, right? So in this case, if you're not aware about, if you're a real estate investor, you're walking around and all you see is great looking buildings
everywhere that you want. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but this is happening. This is happening for the people who are not aware, because you can see that in the ads. And actually, if you put that in your own ads, again, I don't know how that could work for the real estate industry, at least for now. But the big companies, the Gucci, the Louis Vuittons, anything like that, they are using for fashion and things like that. You see the perfume lady standing with a spacesuit on, and she's pointing, whatever, So this is happening, and it shows that your company is actually innovative, that it's creative, you're actually looking things, in the future. It gives that perspective, that people perceive that way when you kind of market through space industry, at least now. So I think through all those big companies, SpaceX, a lot of small companies, small individuals, and who are creating a lot of startups, and that's where the SpaceX Balara, the YouTube channel, just crossed 100 episodes. I got to talk with those people, and you will probably never heard about those people, and some of you guys who are watching are listening, but those people are making a huge change. I mean, they're tackling huge problems. I'm talking about, problems with food and problems with, how we keep ourselves sustained, how we solve the problems of homelessness. And that's through the space industry, through the space travel. Because for you guys and girls who are not aware about, what it came through space industry, like the thing that we take for granted now that we call the phone, laptop, running shoes, what's the CADs, basically the machine that scans your, that scans what do they call it? Doesn't matter. I'm not a medical guy, as you see. So all those great things.
An MRI in the the cat.
MRI, yeah, something like that. So basically, you can go to the website, to the JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory website, and you can Google and find like top innovations that came through the space industry and JPL, something like that. You're going to find all the list of the things, and it's probably 20, 30, maybe more, of great things that we take these days for granted that came through the space industry. Because, again, Apollo missions, space shuttle, just us flying out there and just wanting to go and explore. Because naturally, we all are explorers, and I don't know where your roots came from, because, Columbus was kind of the guy who came, from Spain, and he was so we again, I don't like the name of colonize, because now we're talking about colonizing Mars and things like that. But we naturally do that. We're explore. We go for the vacations. We go for holidays because we want to see stuff. That's what we naturally are. And I think the next step, again, because there's still so much unexplored on different levels in our lives. Again, we're talking about unexplored potential, unexplored country, because I haven't not been in most of the cases in my country. So there's still things to be explored. The things that have to be explored in the world, like probably in 70% of the oceans, we have not explored it yet. So who knows what's there, from this perspective. And then, of course, the space. You see all these movies, 1970, 80, like they say in 2000, like you see the movie in 2000 and we have flying cars or whatever, the spacecrafts. Right. And are we far off from that? Like we stagnated so much. But again, through those people, through the science communicators, through astrophysicists, through the scientists, engineers, the amount of great things that will come through because of that innovation and that will benefit society, the space medicine, and the people who are creating the space law, which again is the next big thing. Because again, you've seen what happened with this China Long March 5B rocket, that everybody was like, oh my God, where's it going to fall? Yeah. So space law is a big thing. But when you used to walk out in the conferences, let's say 3, 4, 5 years ago, let's say in a space related conferences, and like if people ask you, what are you doing? If you say it's a space law, people would be like, what? Like, this is crazy. But now space law, like you get the law firms, you get the individual people, and it's like everybody space law. Oh, okay, got you. I know, other 5 people who actually do that. So now we are in the time where, things will pick up, and I think it gains enough momentum for things to pick up and for that innovation to come through, and for us to look at this bigger picture and think about why are we here, what else we can do, because this is not a sci-fi anymore. I mean, we're actually planning to, again, through the SpaceX, NASA's planning to come back to the moon with their Artemis missions. SpaceX is planning to go to Mars. We're planning to go to Europa, one of the Jupiter's moons, and see what's underneath the ice, because we know there's water. Where there's water, there's life. So all those things, are going to be very, very interesting. And, the times are definitely going to be awesome. Imagine living at a time, and I see so many of these people now saying exactly the same. Imagine the time when you wake up in the morning and you sit down with your family, and instead of talking about whatever happened, with this drama, TV, politician, whatever, you on a morning diner table, on a morning table, you talk about the space. You talk about the next vacation you're going to be taking on the moon or Mars, and things like that. So it's very interesting, and I think that's what I always, whatever I do the talk, whatever I talk with people, I say, look, I do encourage people at least to take a few minutes a day, or just to take some time off to at least read a book, listen to a podcast, maybe go and meet somebody. It doesn't mean that you have to change your career, from real estate investor, now I'm going to be, working with the space industry, space startup. You can do that, because now, again, with the COVID, a lot of people are looking to change their directions from having career, let's say, you're in the medical field, and now, whatever the hospital closed, or whatever scenario happened, right? Or maybe you're a lawyer, or maybe you're an architect and you don't have enough job, and you're thinking about, okay, what I can do next, because my kind of industry is shrinking, the opportunities aren't there anymore. So look, if you're a lawyer, doctor, architect, those things are available right now in the space industry. And this is going to be really needed in the next 2, 5, 10 years. Engineers, that's really needed. AI, again, machine learning, that's going to be applied, and that's going to bring so much value because it's already being used with analog missions in Hawaii, all over the globe, where people actually pretend that they are in space. Again, they follow certain rules that would be applied the same in space. They go outside wearing the spacesuits and things like that. So doing the analog missions, kind of, moon and Mars, preparing for those moments. And they have the technology, AI, which again, going further in the future, it will help us a lot because we as people, as coming back to the point as mentioned, emotional intelligence, it's a big, big thing because we're emotional people, right? Like I wave my hands a lot, right? That's who I am. So I'm emotional, and of course I need to work on that myself as well. Like I know what my what my strengths are. I know what my weaknesses are. Of course, maybe sometimes I'm not aware about that, but through the time you get better, through that compound interest. But AI is going to be helping us to solve that problem with how we don't kill ourselves in those scenarios when we're going to be in space. How we can mitigate the risk of having those conflicts between people. Because look what happens now, and I think the COVID, as bad as it sounds, it's kind of preparing us for those moments where we're going to be living on Mars, in those environments, and you cannot go for outside, with your dog because there's no atmosphere. There's no air. Yeah. So it's really fascinating. Like I probably can go for hours right now by just having this 100 episodes of great people that I had pleasure to meet. I mean, I'm talking about again astrophysicists, people from NASA, engineers, people who are looking for answers. What's out there? People who do the observations of the stars, and it's just incredible. There are a lot of incredible people who don't get enough credit. And I reached out to those people multiple times because I said, look, like the certain guy in Australia, he does, star observations. He has his own like home built telescope and, observatory. Not a lot of people do. And he's a business owner by day. He runs a plumbing company. And I said, look, I need to get you on the show because this man, he provided so much value to the science community. But again, not a lot of people know his name. Yeah. So my mission is, again, I want to pick their brain. I want to understand what these people do, why they're curious about those certain things, why those certain things are important now and going into the future. But then again, just to let people know that those great people are existing. And I think that's the way, again, I use social media for, just mainly, as you see, just to build connections, bring more awareness about what's happening. Same as having you on the show. Again, you're onto your own journey. And you're looking to invest, you're looking to provide value for other people who are going to be investing alongside with you. So, and you're a good guy. So look, my mission to expose you to those people and let them know, hey, look, there's Jason. He does great things. If you feel the vibe, if you think you can align, your, investment goals with him, go ahead. So.
Yeah, no, I think that, the value that you're providing to the space industry by bringing those scientists and people involved, and it's probably, at least traditionally, a group that isn't out there, right? Like there's not a lot of astrophysicists with big YouTube followings, right? That's just not, those things don't necessarily,
unless it's on Neil deGrasse Tyson that everybody knows.
Right. And I guess maybe you can. Everybody knows Elon Musk, so you can sort of lump him in that. He's bringing notoriety to the space industry and doing, so it is funny because it's, at least in my mind, the space industry sort of went away for a while, right? It was just like almost like nothing was happening, and then it's for me again, and I would guess that that's most people, but it's sort of, you see Elon Musk because he's out there and he's so rich and he's making things happen, but people aren't aware of what's really happening behind the scenes. Elon Musk he's not building rockets, he's not he's maybe funding some of that stuff, but these scientists and physicists and the people that are actually creating the technology deserve that recognition as well. So that's awesome that you're doing that. Martynas, let me maybe just ask you a few questions that I like to kind of give to some of the guests. And the first one is, the name of the podcast is Know Your Why. And so I like to ask everyone, sort of, what is your why? What makes you do all that you do? What makes you work those days where you're getting up early and working all day, staying up late and doing it again over and over again? What makes you push forward?
Well, I just laughed because I just want to let you know look, it's not always getting up early and working late. Sometimes I'm very lazy, So
everybody needs breaks. That's fine, but you've done you do a lot, and I know you're a busy guy and you're a successful guy, and so there's something that I think and you already said it. It's not for money. It's you have other purpose, and so I think that if I'm sure that there are people that are just like, I want to be super rich, and great, like I'm not upset about that. That's fine if that's your purpose, but I don't think that's most truly successful people. I don't think we've talked about Elon Musk. I don't think Elon Musk was like, I want to be the richest guy in the world. I don't think Jeff Bezos
that's not the goal.
I want to be the richest guy in the world. That's not really what makes them do what they do. They want to do something that changes the world and makes it better for people, and we've talked about that sort of. So for you, I guess, how do you see that for yourself?
So you kind of nailed it. So that's exactly it, because money definitely not bring you happiness. Again, if you're going to be chasing money, it's not going to be it. You're just going to be, you're still going to be, trapped, because there's never enough. There's always next level. If you're making 100,000, there's a million. If you're making a million, there's 100 million, and there's billion, and there's so it's not going to bring you happiness. And you can find people who are working with a few dollars a day, and they're the most happiest. They're the happiest people on the planet. But you can find millionaires, and there's a lot of those who are who have the poor mindsets, and they're scared about the next thing. I'm going to lose money, and they feel like they're super unhappy. So the money is definitely not it. What you're saying is true, and that's exactly what I want to say again. That if you just focus on other people, and that will cure everything. That will cure your financial situation. That will help you to grow personally. That will you can work on multiple aspects. Coming back to the thing is the podcast. How to build a successful podcast. People ask me that all the time. So I said, focus on other people first. Because majority of the people probably, they feel it as introverts. When you're starting out, you have to be in front of the camera. But because I'm naturally an introvert as well. So how do you change that? Because I can be an introvert and an extrovert. That's possible. That's achievable. And I'm an example of it. And there's many more people who do that as well. But you focus on other people. You don't think about yourself. Oh, how do I look? Does Michelle look good? Because that's where you get stuck. And that's the why. That's the why, to focus on other people. And coming back to the thing as we talked about, just Googling, and simple as that, Googling top 50 problems on the planet, and seeing not having those false ideas that, I'm because I know my limitations. I know how much capital I have. I know what I'm capable of through the network and how much I can do. I'm not dreaming oh my God, I can be an ex Elon Musk. I can, because I don't have the capital, connections, resources. I know I don't have the mindset for this, because for him it took 2001, he knew zero about rocket science. 2007, he was an expert in rocket science, because he took the time and effort to learn, to talk with people, to talk with consultants, to build connections. It took him 6 years. So it's a journey for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're genius-like or whatever. So, but you have to focus on that, because I've seen a couple interviews where a few people who work for Elon, they ask them how is it like to work with Elon? How does he make decisions? And I remember one guy said, every time he makes a decision, he makes a decision based on, are we going to get closer to occupying Mars, or are we getting further from that? So, but he doesn't think about, is the SpaceX stock is going to go up and down. He thinks about, are we going to make a decision if the stock is going to go up? He doesn't care. He cares. He wants to provide this for other people. And this is the mission that's bigger than anything else out there. It's one of those. And it could be done on different levels with it could be a service product, whatever, but you have to focus on bringing value to the people, because look, there are all those great companies, and majority of them started in the United States. and like majority of them started in a garage from home dormitory, and some of those companies are benefiting a lot of people, making their life easier on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that everybody have to go to Mars or space. You can do something that will benefit a lot of people here on the planet, because again, we have so many different problems, but that why has to be bigger than yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea of sort of Googling what world problems can I solve? I mean, it sounds a little bit silly, but honestly, I'm sure that
it does sound silly.
Legitimate thing to do. I mean, people will, I'm going to Google that today and see what comes up, because I think that's a valid, even if it just creates awareness for yourself as to what, we get caught up in what our own problems are, but what really, it's like you can look at it from a large scale. Like, I know there are places where people are hungry, and I know there are places where people don't have enough water or shelter and things like that. But it's like, what if you could narrow that down to something where you can make an actual difference? Right?
Yeah.
So
and I'm not exactly, and I'm not saying about, solving world problems. I'm not talking about, now us sitting here down and saying, okay, we're going to solve homelessness in the next 5 years,
right?
Like globally. Are we talking about going to a third world country where there is no water, there's no housing, and maybe building 30 houses? That's adding value to that problem. So it doesn't have to be, what I'm saying, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to solve because nobody, if it's Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, how much money you have, you won't be able to solve all of these problems or just tackle one problem globally. Nobody's capable of that, because there's just so much happening. But if you just focus one thing at a time, go into your neighborhood and seeing the people, again, if you want to solve homelessness, people not able to eat, or, whatever's happening, just one person at a time. But again, you won't be focusing on yourself, posting that on social media. Hey, look, I'm feeding people. No, just do this because it's a problem, and we need those people to solve this problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Tell me something that you would like people to know about yourself that's not maybe common knowledge, a hobby, a guilty pleasure, something that, is just, it can be silly, or it can be, straight up serious, whatever you want to put out there.
Oh Jesus, that's a tough one. Probably I need to prepare for that question before in advance. But before, the guilty pleasure was probably sweets. Before, that's kind of surface. But when you get a couple, couple of teeth broken, so you're just like, okay, I need to stop. But that was a guilty pleasure. But for now, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be, like, I'm being honest, it's going to be hard because I'm a really boring person.
Well, I mean,
because you know why? Because most of the time my routine looks like, it's, again, when I'm not being lazy, because I can do that for a very long time. I can wake up, work on things, I can go and meet people, and I can do things. And like, for me, having a hobby, because I want people to understand, because there's a lot of people who are building companies, and again, we're saying successful person. I'm not close to, because I know what I'm capable of, and I know I'm super far from that. So because there's always the next level. But like, when you just work and when you live it, when you live the life, and you don't work because it's Monday, it's Friday, 2 days off. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a day, I'm gonna travel, and I'm just building business because I want to live my life. Like, so it will provide me, and then I can relax, and then I can do what I want. Like, I don't have the hobbies, and again, probably it's painful for my wife, because she knows, like, I'm really boring human being, because I wake up, I can work, I can do this, like, 24/7, 365, and it's going to be boring for the people around me who are really close to me, just like my wife. Because she will be like, look, you don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to go to nice places, travel. And she always she likes this stuff. She likes to travel. And of course, I do have to adapt to that, because look, I don't live by myself. I don't live for myself. So I have to adapt to her and to her needs. But I'm that boring, because not long ago I talked with another guy, and we did coaching with him. And he said, look, you just need to take a break. You need to, you're going to burn out, and you're going to do this, and this is what's going to happen. I'm like, look, when you live it, you don't have to worry about that. But well, sweets probably, that's the thing.
Yeah, well, and I think, if you're doing something that you're passionate about, that's not boring, right? It's not boring to you. You're not working like that because you just
you don't want to take the time off.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
like what you're doing. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
I think people see that as boring and wrapped up in work, but it's like, well, if that's what you're passionate about and you enjoy it,
Yep.
it's not really, it's exciting, you know, sort of, it's exciting for many hours of the day, and that's fine.
Yeah. It's in for you. It's in for you. Just want to interrupt you for a second. But look, if you're doing the real estate investing, if you're doing the real estate business, and again, if you know you're going to go to watch a Netflix for a few minutes, and you probably got these moments before when you just sit down, you turn on the Netflix, you're watching a movie, and you're thinking like, all these phone calls that I can make, all these people I can meet, all these books that I can read, and I'm watching this. It's like, So for me, I made a decision. It's like, what's the point? Of course, I go and watch the movie. Like, watched the movie yesterday, but it happened just like random. It's like, oh, let's go and watch something because there's free space. I want to occupy. I want to watch something. But because I will be spending 1 hour, 2 hours doing something that will not benefit the mission, the cause that I'm looking to do. And of course, I don't know. Like, I'm really scared. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. Like, I'm 31, but life happens. So look, we use whatever time, because you need to put yourself in that state. Be scared a little bit. Don't get comfortable. Oh, there's 60 plus years. I do train. I do eat good. So I know my body is in quite a good shape. So, but look, things do happen. So do with the time that's given now. Don't plan a lot about the future. Oh, this is going to be next year, next month. Just do things now and find the time. Make it important. Make it your why,
Yeah, I totally agree. You don't know how much time you have, and you might as well live it, live your life like it, that there may not be that much of it left, and just make the best of all that you have. So I think time is, I'm sure my wife's sick of hearing me talk about it, but I think time is the most valuable commodity. It's like money is, as you said, money is a tool, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't care about the money. I care about the time with my family, the time to sort of do the experiences and have the experiences that we want to have together. So that's really, exactly. I think you sort of bring up a great point. Well, Martynas, tell me, let's let everybody know how they can reach you and sort of where are you? We'll get everything in the show notes as well, but what's the best way to get a hold of you if people want to reach out?
Yeah, so now it's the time for me to get cocky a little bit. Google me. No, so that's what I'm saying. Like, if somebody who does the social media, does whatever, they have a business, if you Google them, you cannot find their name, because for me it happened multiple times. Like, if I cannot find people, because we just rented this place out. It's a nice place, and the agent, she's a high-end kind of agent, and I was like, I was looking for, couldn't find it. Or like, it's very strange, so if you're not Googleable, if that's even words, so just Martynas Fedotovas on Facebook, on LinkedIn, again, look, I'm just here to help out people. I'm not here about pitching my own services, products. Of course I can, but I just don't want to, So because there's all about helping other people. So for me, if somebody wants to reach out, say, hey, listen, I want to pick your brain, because we didn't talk about social media a lot today. But if you want to do that and you want to discuss how you can grow your business through social media, what strategies to use, don't use, and things like that, feel free to do so, and we can jump on a call and talk about that.
Awesome. Sounds great. And we'll have links to some of your social media and stuff like that too in the show notes, so people, once they finish Googling the world's great 50 greatest problems, and then they can Google you and you can solve them together.
No, just focus on 50 problems. Don't Google me after. So just focus on that.
Solve the world's problems, then Google Martynas. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Martynas. I had a great time talking to you. It was really awesome, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. Thanks.